Let's take a look at the knuckle fist strike. Now there's a couple of ways. I'm going to come up here close so you can see it. So here's my fist. I can either extend the first finger and put my thumb behind it. That'll work really well as a hammering device. Or I put up my middle finger in just a little bit. I don't want to offend anybody. But you'll notice how I still support that with my thumb on this side. This can be very good for striking straight in. So for these strikes, we're going to do these from a horse stance just so that we can utilize and learn the mechanics from both hands. So remember, the horse stance, if you've measured it out before, is toes, heel, toes, forward, or you just jump straight into your horse stance. Make sure your hands are chambered underneath your armpits. I'm going to do this one with the what's called the phoenix beak as opposed to the phoenix eye. And I'm going to do it as a punch, straight forward. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Kia. Good, now let's try 5 of them with the phoenix eye. That's going to be the first knuckle being supported by the thumb. In this case, it's going to work almost the same way that we did a knife hand strike. I'm leading and trying to hit with just that knuckle. Let's try it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Kia. Back to Chumbi. Let's take a look at how we apply the knuckle fist. So there's a couple of ways. I'm going to talk about the phoenix beak first, which is how the middle knuckle sticks out. This is for going straight forward. Now you'll see some people talk about to the eye, which is a great target, but all he's got to do is duck his head a little bit, and now I've got a very small bone striking very strong bone, and his head is going to win in that altercation. So generally what I'm looking for are meaty parts. Like I might use this to the side of the head. I might use this to the chest muscle or into the shoulder or into the stomach to cause a little bit more pain. The phoenix eye, which is utilizing this first finger, is really good for striking in a hammering motion. He grabs hold of my hand and I can't get out. This can change his mind and loosen his grip a little bit. If I'm trying to get him into an armbar and he's resisting me, I can use that same knuckle. I can drive it into his forearm. I can drive it into the back of his arm. It's not going to knock him out, but it is going to cause some pain compliance, which might loosen him up and help me get the technique I'm looking for. Our next strike is called the flat fist strike. I'm going to show you what this looks like. It's basically from our regular fist. All that happens is I open it up and leave those fingers curled under. It almost looks like a panther's fist. You can see why it's called a flat fist strike when I show it to you this way. So there's a couple of ways we can strike with this flat fist strike. We can strike with the knuckles straight up, or we can strike with the knuckles inverted. We're going to do both of them. So start from Chumbi. Let's go to a horse stance. Kia. So the first one, I'm going to shoot it straight up like this. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kia. The second way is I can rotate it all the way around. That'll give me a little bit more power with it too. Let's try that. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kia. Back to Chumbi. Let's take a look at how you would apply the flat fist strike. So this vertical angle, there's various places on the body that you can hit, like right into the shoulder. There's a very sensitive plexus of nerves that are in there. And especially if he's reaching out and he's got a hold of you, the arm creates a path to get right to that pressure point. Otherwise, if we're doing it flat, a lot of people know when you're fighting, you got to keep that chin down. If his chin is down and I do a regular fist, I can't quite get to that throat. I'm just going to hit the chin or the chest. But if my fist is flat, I can hit the chest and it'll slide right into the throat, which could be a very good way to stop a fight. The back fist is one of the fastest hand strikes that we have. It's a lot like the jab in boxing. If I show this to you from my guard stance, there's a couple of ways I can use this. From here, my elbow's already out in front of me. So all I have to do is reach that hand out and back. You notice how my hand came around. Now, as I do that, You could strike with the back of the hand, but if you're hitting a hard thing like somebody's head, that could break your hand. So you'll notice what I do is I just pull the wrist back a little bit. That's going to expose the larger knuckles, the larger bones in my fist, which are going to be able to get more penetrating power to cause some pain. I also will sometimes fight from this position, especially if I'm fighting the other Mr. Orton. He does a lot of kicking. And if my ribs are exposed, that's probably where he's going to kick me. So I'll use this L stance where I have one hand up guarding my face and the other hand down guarding my ribs. From here, all I have to do is just lift the elbow a little bit and then that back fist goes out. You can see how quick of a motion that can be, just as quick as the jab from boxing. So that we can train the mechanics of this on both sides, we're going to do this one from a horse stance. So start from Chumbi. Let's see the horse stance. Ready? Go! So the important thing for these is I'm going to be crossing the body to do the back fist. That's what's going to get me the power out of it. Let's try 5 of them. Ready? 1, 2. Notice it goes out and back. 3, 4, 5. Ki. The other way is instead of the back fist coming around, the back fist can also come straight down. But you'll notice it's still got to cross over my body. But then I can change the momentum of it at the last second. Let's do 5 of these downward back fists, starting with this hand. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ki. Back to Chumbi. Let's take a look at how we'll apply that back fist. So first stance I'm going to show you this from is the one that I fight this guy with all the time. I usually like to keep myself back with my ribs protected. I can either use this hand as a straightforward jab, which is very quick, or if the hands are down, I'll bring that fist around to the side. Now what can happen though, because this motion is easier to read, he might flinch and look away. And if I hit with the back of my hand, that's a broken hand. That's why I want to make sure I pull those knuckles around. For this straight over strike, I want to make a point. This is not like we see all the time in tournaments. We call it sprinkling fairy dust. It's a good way to score a point, but it's also a good way to break your fist. The head is harder than the hand. So this is actually going mainly into the nose is what I'm looking for. This is really effective if he's got me in a clinch. If I try to reach up or even around to try to hit him, my hand stops short because his arms are in the way, especially if he's a bigger opponent than me. But I can get my hand up between me and I can shoot that knuckle out right into his face. Maybe hit him in the glasses. Our next strike is called the palm strike. I'm going to come in here close so you can see my hand. First thing I want to point out is I'm not waving them. Abraham Lincoln had mentioned that divided we fall, united we stand. We want to make sure those fingers are always together. And in this case, I'm going to curl the fingers and the thumb. The fingers bent is the strongest position they can be in. So if I accidentally hit wrong, I'm not going to end up breaking one of my fingers. My other point is I'm not trying to high five the guy. What I'm actually hitting with is the heel part of the palm. And generally, it's traveling in upward direction, coming up under the chin or into the nose. Let's try a couple of these. So start from Chumbi, and let's go into our horse stance. Ready? Go. Notice my fists are starting closed. As I put the punch out there, I'm going to open the hand. Let's try 5 of them. Ready? 1. Bring it back. 2. 3. 4. 5. Ki. And back to Chumbi. Let's take a look at how the palm strike would be used. So a lot of times in sparring, we've got pads on our hands, we've got pads on our feet, so there's not a lot of regard for the protection of our limbs. But the problem is if I'm throwing a punch, all he's got to do is duck a little bit and I'm punching him in the head, that's a broken hand. A broken hand could mean the end of the fight. So if I'm striking for a high target like the face, generally I'm going to be using this palm strike. If I'm coming into the nose, you notice I hit the nose and I push up. There's that old wives' tale about breaking a bone and it going into the brain and killing them. That won't happen. But it will do is break the nose and cause a lot of pain and a lot of bleeding and causes the eyes to tear up, which makes it a lot easier to get away or follow up with other techniques. Another common way this is used is by pushing underneath the chin to lock the neck back. There's one of these, that's one of your self-defense techniques, where you do a pull and a push, and you lock up that spine, and all of a sudden makes them immobile, like a mama cat picking up a kitten by the scruff of the neck. Our next strike is called the hammer fist because it comes from a fist, but then we swing that fist like we've got a hammer in our hand. Let's try these from a horse stance. So start from Chumbi. Let's see your horse stance. Kia. So the first one we're going to do is like a knife hand strike. It's going to start from the ear. It's going to travel in a downward direction. Let's do 5 of them. Ready? 1. Rechamber it. 2. 3. 4. 5. Kia. Now, just like the knife hand strike, besides it coming straight down, it can also go to the side. Let's try that one. Ready? 1. Starting from the shoulder. 2. 3. 4. 5. Kia. Back to Chumbi. Let's take a look at how we would use the hammer fist strike. So the main thing I pointed out before is that if I'm punching to a hard spot, like especially the head, can be very dangerous for breaking hands. A lot of times, instead of coming in this way, I would come down this way. Now, if he ducks his head, I'll hit him on the top of the head. That won't hurt my hand at all. But I can actually get a significant amount of force in that, which could stun him and maybe even strain his neck. The other way this can come around is from the side. Now, again, you could use that as a knife hand strike, especially if you're aiming for the neck. But if you notice at the last minute he turns his head, you can close that into a fist, and that makes for a really nice strike on the side of the head. Padded part going to a hard part. The elbow is the hardest part of the human body. The most dense bone is formed right here. There's a couple of ways we can use the elbow. It's a very versatile tool. Let's go and do this from a horse stance. Let's see it. Now, this first one I'm going to do is what's called an upward elbow. I'm going to turn the hip and shoulder forward. I'm going to bring the hand next to my ear, and I'm going to drive the elbow in an upward direction. Let's try 5 of them. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kia. Now I'm going to do it as a forward elbow, which in this case, the elbow comes out to the side. I turn the hip and shoulder and exposes the bone of the elbow that I can smash into my opponent. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kia. The elbow can also be used backwards. I'm going to do these ones from the side so that you can see what's happening. So here's my horse stance from the side. I'm going to reach the hand up, and I'm going to draw the elbow right next to my side and lift it. Let's try 5 of those. Ready? 1. Make sure you look over your shoulder. You want to make sure you're not elbowing grandma. 2. 3. 4. 5. Kia. The next backward elbow strike we have is what's called a side elbow. It's going to come up like I'm talking on the phone, and then I'm going to pull that elbow around to my opponent. Let's try 5 of those. I'll do these ones facing you from the front. Make sure you keep your knees bent. Ready? 1. Make sure you're looking where you're going. 2. 3. 4. 5. Kia. Chumbi. Let's take a look at how we would apply these elbow strikes. So first of all, I'm going to show you these elbow strikes that we did from the front. The very first one we did was this upward elbow strike, which is really good for getting underneath the chin. It can even slam into somebody's solar plexus. That's how the Heimlich maneuver works, so just make sure you watch out he doesn't puke on your shoulder. This is really effective, again, if he's got you in that clinch where he's got a hold of your neck. I can drive, and I got to make sure, I'll do it from this side so you can see. I got to make sure my hand comes next to my face. Because if it comes into my face, I'm going to end up picking my nose, and now he's got another reason to beat me up. I bring it next to my face, that elbow can drive right underneath the chin. The other way this can be used is that alternative way where it came around from the side to strike the side of the head. This can be effective if he's got a hold of my shoulder. I can even grab a hold of my own hand and I can send that forward, and that's even a really good wrist lock. The ones from behind, if he's got me in a bear hug, for instance, and both of my hands are trapped, I can't do this one, but look, I can lift the hand in front of me and I can send that right back into his ribs, which can loosen him up a little bit, especially if I get this side that's got his liver in it. And if he's grabbing me from the back, I can now use this elbow to clear the arm and strike into the side of the head. And also is very effective for striking into the stomach too if he's bigger than me.